Hey everybody, today I just wanted to do a quick video talking a little bit about a really useful debugging tool in LabVIEW. So if you've done kind of Core 1, Core 2 LabVIEW, you've probably seen these talked about. I wanted to talk about the basic functionality, but also a little bit of a deep dive as well into some stuff that's a little less well known. So what I wanted to talk about today is probes. So probes are a useful tool when debugging LabVIEW and basically allow you to see what data is on a specific wire. So for example, here I have, kind of some code. So nothing, it's total nonsense, but, generating a random number, getting the sign of that random number, using this scale by power of 2 function with n set to 2, and then just checking if that's greater than 3.2 and stopping the loop when that happens. Nothing special what this is actually doing, just showing, right? We kind of have all this stuff and we don't have indicators. I could add, right? I could right click on this wire and add an indicator there, and then I could see what the random number is, and I could add an indicator here so I can see what the output of the sine function is, and then I could add one here, and then I can see with the power 2 function. So that's one way I could see all of the intermediate kind of steps in this algorithm, or you could have stuff far more complex. You don't want to go adding numeric indicators or string indicators or graphs everywhere on every front panel of all of your code just to see what's going on. So probes are a useful tool because I can see what data is on that wire without having to actually add a control. So anywhere I want, I can hover over a wire. I can right click, and I have this option here for add probe. There's also custom probe. We're going to talk about those in just a sec, but I can click add probe, and I get this probe window. You notice it looks a little different if you've been using LabVIEW for a while than what you've seen historically. So I'm using LabVIEW 2025 Q3, which actually combines the breakpoint and probe windows into one. So if you've been using LabVIEW for a little bit and you notice, hey, his looks different than mine, that's because I just set up LabVIEW 2025 Q3. So now the breakpoint and probe windows are combined, but functionally they do the same thing. Now I can see, right, probe number 1, and I can see that it hasn't executed yet. I get a timestamp of when, and then over here it's actually, as we're running the code, going to update with the latest value. And I can add as many different probes as I want. So I can have a 2 and 3 and on and on and on. And you can actually double click on these, and it actually highlights in the code where those are, which is really useful, especially if you've got maybe probes on multiple different VIs. That way you can kind of navigate through all of those. Then if I run this code, I can actually see all of these values update in real time. So I can see what 1 is, what 2 is, what 3 is. So I didn't need to add indicators. I can just view everything from here. And then, there's some other tools here you can use. So I can highlight the object, same as double click. I can remove the probe. I can rename it. So by default, it's going to pull the name of the wire. So if there's a label assigned to it, that's what it's going to get. Something that doesn't have a name, you're going to get something like that. So you can name these specific things. Open window, I can copy the actual data, so basically put this in the clipboard. Same thing as export data to clipboard, and I can add a breakpoint there. So that's kind of the basic concept of probes. Now we also have what's called custom probes, and these are really useful. This is kind of the stuff that you don't learn about so much in your LabVIEW Core 1, Core 2, but they're actually really handy, and they can kind of definitely enhance the ability of using probes. So if we go down to custom probe, we kind of get a few different options. So this top section is going to load some custom probes that kind of just are available. So most of these are going to be what ships with LabVIEW. You can also create your own, which I'll talk about in just a sec. You can go to new custom probe. But these are basically things that ship with LabVIEW that give you different views of that data that you're probing. So we have a couple options, and if you notice, some of these actually list this is for a DBL. So what you get in this list is going to vary based off of where you're placing the probe. So whatever I've selected, so if you notice I go to this integer and go to custom probe, it now has these for an I16. If I go to like a Boolean, go to custom probe, you notice I get some different options: translucent Boolean probe, conditional Boolean, history Boolean. So depending on the type of data that you're probing, you're going to get different options of what you can do. So let's go look at what some of these are and how they can be useful. So first one I want to show is, I'll skip this one for now just because I never really use this one. But we have this conditional one. So this one's kind of cool. So it looks the same here, right? We can see that we have a probe there. And over here we can see the data of that probe. But it also has this condition menu where I can basically tell the code to pause when a certain condition is met. So I can specify what the conditions are, so maybe greater than, less than, can be multiple, right? And then I can set that threshold. So let's say I want this code to pause when this is greater than 0.5. Now, as I go here, I can still see the data from my probe, and I can run this. But if you notice, we got a value of 0.93, and it actually paused my VI. So you can see that this pause button is paused. So that way, it basically halts my code. I can check anything, do whatever, and then just hit the pause button again when I'm done to unpause it. So this is a useful feature if you want to basically force your code to halt when a certain condition is met. You can specify what that condition is. Let's go look at a couple other custom probes. So history is also a really useful one. This basically allows you to view a history of data going across that wire. So we get basically a count. So this will be like your 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you get to see those values. So it'll just keep track. Instead of just seeing the latest value across that wire, we can see a history of values. So I can run this VI, and you can see I'm getting all this history. And my code stopped running, but yeah, I can go look through this and see, okay, this iteration I got this iteration I got this. You can specify how you want that formatted, so you can specify custom formatting using formatting codes, and you can click reset history whenever you want to basically clear out that table. So yeah, pretty cool. That one's really handy. And for another one I want to show, so there is this controls option. So what this allows you to do is specify any type of control in your functions palette, or sorry, your controls palette, not your functions palette, your controls palette, and basically use that as the probe. So this can be really useful because you can display data in different ways. So one that I find very useful is loading graphs and charts. So I can choose like a waveform chart, and it pops up this probe window, but if you notice now over here, I have a chart. So now as I run this, I'm not just seeing numbers, but I actually am seeing the data being graphed. And you actually can, kind of control certain things of this, scaling and whatnot. So really pretty cool. I can change auto scaling. I can even export this chart data to Excel or something if I wanted to. So another really useful tool is just being able to specify a specific type of control to load that data into. So the most common use cases for me is charts like I've shown and graphs, but you can use any of the other options out there as well if you want to view the data in maybe like a gauge or a dial or something like that, then you can. So yeah, those are really, really useful, especially when I just want to see trends over time, right? So maybe I'm probing this to see, I need to figure out a threshold to use to, tell this to stop. Well, a single probe is okay. I can see the latest number, but if it's changing really fast, it's hard to read. The history probe is a little better because I can see that whole history, but a chart is the easiest to me because I can just collect all that data and then just look at the chart and take my readings. So that is a very cool one. Last thing I wanted to share is just if you go down to custom probe, there is also this option for new custom probe. So this allows you to create your own custom probes, and you basically create a LabVIEW VI that defines how the probe behaves and what it displays. So if you go to new custom probe, you have two options. You can create a new probe, or you can create a probe from an existing probe. So if you do the from an existing, you get a list of all of the probes that are available. And you can look through these and find one that, is like a good starting point. So maybe conditional for a string. You can hit next. You have to give it a name. So you could call it whatever you want. And you can specify a custom window title and shortcut menu. By default, it matches the file name. And you can also specify where this gets saved. So it auto selects the path to where the probes are stored, which is in your LabVIEW data. You can hit save. You get this message letting you know that you need to set up this VI. And it's broken intentionally, making you, set up your code to fix it. You can see I have this same behavior where I have basically a string indicator that will display the string, similar to the numeric one we showed. And there's a condition where I can pause if the string has one of these things, and I can specify the conditional string. Then, if you notice in the back, we've got some code here. That we just need to, modify how we need to, fix some of these, broken wires, and there's some notes in here. So this is a starting place. We can then just go and edit this, get it exactly how we want, save it, and now we have a custom probe that we can use anytime we want to right-click on a string, for example. So really, really cool tool. Probes are awesome. They help out a lot with a lot of things. Definitely a really useful debugging tool. If you're not taking advantage, definitely do. And just wanted to highlight the custom probes really help you augment the ability of probes even further and help you analyze the data that you're monitoring even better. So I hope that was helpful, and thanks for watching.
Canon Controls is your gateway to mastering LabVIEW. Dive into programming for data acquisition, industrial communications, and manufacturing automation. Explore how to enhance your projects with cybersecurity best practices. Join the journey to elevate your skills and secure your systems with every episode.